Hey, everybody. I'm going to give folks another minute or two to hop in, but good seeing you and thank you for signing up for this webinar. As the title kind of suggests, today we're going to be going over CPQ add-ons, which is going to cover dealer portals, document automation, as well as 3D visualization to help partners like you not only generate more revenue from every CPQ opportunity, but also deliver more value. I will just pull this up as we're waiting for some other folks to join. This is obviously me or what, oops, wait, no, this isn't sharing yet. Obviously me or I guess what AI thinks I look like because I haven't gotten an updated headshot in quite some time at this point. It's always funny doing jokes in a webinar when you have no idea if people are laughing or not. All right, sweet. Well, let's go ahead and get into it, everybody. So my name is Miranda Powell. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at Experlogix. If you don't know me, we haven't met, feel free to reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. I love meeting partners and discussing opportunities that we can help, where we can help each other grow and piggyback off of each other's success. So again, for today's conversation, we're going to be focusing on add-ons for CPQ. At the end of my last webinar, I actually opened up a poll for all of the attendees, had a few different options, and this is what the majority had ruled in terms of what you guys wanted to see next. So first thing we're going to cover is going to be dealer portal. It's great for customers that sell through external channels, whether that's dealers, resellers, or even customers that have a lot of repeat business. They have a customer, they have their own pricing or certain discounting permissions. Dealer portals or customer portals are a great use case there. Next is going to be document automation. And for the purposes of today's demonstration, we're really going to be looking at document automation as the Q in CPQ. So that the capability that's really able to deliver a fully fleshed out quote, incorporating dynamic imagery as well as, terms and conditions. But it doesn't stop there. So it goes way beyond just generating a document or generating a quote. There's configurable workflows that I'm going to walk you guys through in terms of signing, sending, or storing any of the documents. And there's also a lot of other use cases as well. So as I'm hopping through this demo environment, keep in mind that this is going to be, again, specific to CPQ, but we have a lot of customers that are using document automation for HR and onboarding. They're using it for invoice automation. In manufacturing organizations, they're sometimes using it for trade agreements or shipping information. So the use cases with document automation extend way past just being the Q in CPQ. But again, I'll show you guys a little bit more about those capabilities and maybe the gears will get turning as we're walking through this webinar. And then last but not least is going to be 3D visualization. Great for anybody that, configures or sells manufactured goods, retailers, so on and so forth. It's also great for companies that want to use CAD as a starting point or as an output of their configuration process. And that's pretty much it from a slide perspective. So today's conversation is going to be a little bit more in the software. So I'm going to go ahead and get my demo environment pulled up here. Sweet. So we're going to kick it off with the dealer portal. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, get myself off the screen. Awesome. So this is going to be the interface for the dealer portal. First thing to keep in mind is all of this is completely customizable. I'm acting as Acme Trucks, who's going to be the reseller or the OEM. And so obviously I'm going to have some truck imagery, but again, all of this is customizable. You can change the inputs that are required here, change the branding, change the colors, skin it up to really meet what your customer's needs are. So now I'm going to be logging in as a dealer and going into the quotes page. Now, for the purposes of this demo, I've gone ahead and already created a quote that we're going to work from. But again, if I was logging in as a dealer, I would be able to see all my quotes here, see them organized by status. You can also go in and change the column. So if I wanted to see the date created on here to give me a little bit more visibility into my newest, or recall something that I did maybe a month ago. Also makes the configuration process easier because you're able to duplicate one of these quotes if you have another order for a customer that's similar to one that you've done in the past. You can review the version history, edit any of the details on the quote, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this quote right here. This is going to launch me into the configurator. Again, the portal allows people to use the back end of CPQ to create quotes with the same rules, logic, so on and so forth that we offer to internal sales teams within CE. So I'm going to go ahead and do a truck. I'm going to hop into a couple of different examples when we get into the 3D visualization capabilities as well. I know a lot of you guys have probably seen the truck demo, so I'm not going to spend too much time in terms of updating the driveline or some of the other specs and whatnot. We'll keep this pretty simple just so that you can see more of the functionality of how this writes back to CE. Another thing worth calling out, all of these add-ons too are available not only within CE, but also Business Central and F&O. So again, kind of just showing our commitment to the Microsoft channel. We work with every Microsoft ERP or CRM application today. So let's say, I'm building a truck, want refrigerated goods. I'm going to select this EX5000. So just as a quick call out to 3D visualization, because that is going to be a part of our demonstration today, you're going to see this truck over here. I just hit this in order to show the dimensions. And if you right click, you're able to spin it around. You can zoom in, zoom out, so on and so forth. As another call out for 3D visualization, I'm going to go ahead and add a sleeper cabin, and you guys can see in real time how that's going to update. So if you see over there in the screen, not only did I get prompted for an upsell opportunity saying, hey, maybe ask if they want a refrigerator or a lower bunk, but you're also seeing that now we've extended the truck body to include that sleeper cabin. Same thing works for doing, any types of colors. You can embed different color SKUs in here. So let's say I want to see what this looks like in the 1023. Which is going to be like a mustardy color. And it updates again in real time. Dealers also have the ability to go ahead and request discounts. Again, the pricing is going to be specific to this dealer. And usually, they're able to discount up to a certain percentage without running into any issues. So let's say, I want to offer a 10% discount. You can see here that the pricing is still good. If I bump this up to 40%, you can see that the pricing is not approved. So I need to submit a reason for the discount. Let's say I am in a competitive sale with another manufacturer. And then that's all that we're going to do in here. So let's go ahead. We're going to hit save and close. And while that is closing, I will go back into my CE instance. And within quotes, I've created a view that's going to be all my portal quotes. And of course, you can then take these views, you could create dashboards that would help give your clients a little bit better visibility into some of those external sales funnels. And right here, you're going to see ABC company, so the portal quote, and everything written back over. Another thing that we see customers do pretty often when they're using dealer portals or customer portals is that they'll go ahead and they'll set up rules saying, if a dealer has created a quote that's over a certain amount of money, alert the salesperson in that territory so that they can collaborate on closing this business together. So again, you can put in rules for collaboration as well as rules for discounts, so on and so forth. And that's pretty much how Dealer Portal works. And if you guys remember, I did submit a discount request as a part of this demo experience, and you're going to see that listed right up at the top here. Awesome. So now to go into document automation. So again, that queue within CPQ, and I'm going to walk you guys through a couple of different use cases. One that's pretty common, if anybody's been in sales, you've been in a sales process where somebody has said, hey, like, I just want to see some high level pricing. I'm not yet ready for, full quote or to sign anything. I just need to send over to my managers for approval. So if we go up here to this top line for documents, you're going to see budgetary quote email. And the way that document automation works is, you can either set up flows on the back end, which is kind of the instance that I'm going to walk you guys through right now, where everything is executed with just one click. But there are going to be instances where you want the ability to customize what a quote looks like, customize the email, so on and so forth. So in my next example, I'll walk through one where it's a little bit more involved in a process, but this is a quick, one click. In order to send that email, you can see over here the flow execution panel that it's currently running, and it's gone ahead and it's generated that quote email. So now if I pop over into my Outlook, let me get off this screen and get that one pulled up. I hope you're seeing the right stuff. You will see the budgetary quote. Oop, I forget what the webinar thing, you have to actually turn on the screen that you're seeing. You'll see the budgetary quote that was sent directly to my email. It has all the different line items. It has a little bit of text. It says what the approximate budget is. And again, this is all configurable on the back end using different templates that follow the same structure as Microsoft Word. So if you find yourself very often copying and pasting things into an email, again, I just showed you guys how quickly I was able to, within one click, send this over to the customer. Let's look at an example now using document automation where it's going to be a little bit more involved or a little bit more customizable in terms of what that output is. So going back into CE, and we're going to go to documents, and let's do a truck quote. So it's starting to pull some of that information from the CRM and building it into our quote for the truck. This is taking a little bit to load. And then you're going to see a screen that pops up in terms of different customization options or what you want to happen within the flow. Why is it making me log in? Just did that. Here we go. So you'll see a few different options here. So you're going to see, do you want to modify the generated document, add some text to the cover letter? What is the document output type? Would you like to add an e-signature, which I'm going to do so that you guys can see our integration with DocuSign. When it comes to e-signature, though, we are platform agnostic. So whether you want to use, DocuSign, Adobe Sign, any e-signature solution of your choice, we can work with. And then let's create a note and store a document within CE. I, as a salesperson, am guilty of it all the time, where after I get a signed quote from a customer, I don't always save it back into the CRM. This takes that guesswork out of the way for you. And so let's say, this is option 1 for truck for ABC company. And then I will go to next. And in real time, this is giving you some updates on where we are within the flow. Since I added e-signature as a part of this process, everything else is going to pause until I get the signature back from the customer, and then we will save it over into the CRM. So you can see here, it's giving me that notification. Hey, truck demo quote is waiting for an external event, which is going to be sending it over to DocuSign. Now, again, if I go back into my inbox, you're going to see, hey, here's a notification from DocuSign. They've sent this over to you for e-signature. Review the document. I'm able to open this up, and you guys will get a little bit of a sense of some of that dynamic imagery that we had alluded to, able to pull in brandings and really put together a very impressive quote for our customer. So again, it's outlining everything that we purchased, giving some specs in terms of the different line items and cost. I had added in that sleeper cabin, as you guys remember. So that's pulling in dynamic imagery based on the fact that we selected the sleeper cabin so that it appears in the quote, so on and so forth. And then right here, I am able to go in, adopt, and sign. If I hit finish and close out of this, I will hit refresh on the flow so that the rest of the steps will be executed. This does refresh on about a 30-minute or 1-hour interval, depending on the way that you set it up. But if you want it, everything in the CRM to happen in the storage immediately, you can go back in and refresh it as well. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I've done it that way. And you can see the flow has been successfully run across all of the different steps. So I'm going to X out of the flow execution panel, and I am going to go into the details of this quote. And you're going to see the note, the signed document stored without me having to lift a finger. In this demonstration, I did do saving it over into CE. There's also the opportunity to save it over to SharePoint, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, really whatever storage solution you want. Again, when it comes to the e-signature and storage, we're absolutely vendor agnostic. And then, with the integration to Outlook, we're able to send those emails with just a matter of a couple of clicks. Awesome. So I'm going to move into, last but not least, kind of talking a little bit more about 3D visualization capabilities. We touched on that briefly as we were building out the truck demo. But again, this can be configured in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the configurator from this quote. It's going to give me a couple of different options or show my historic quote history there. I'm going to go into gates. We work with a lot of window, door, gate manufacturers here at Experlogix. And obviously when they're dealing with a customer, seeing is really believing. They want to know what it looks like in different colorways with different positioning, so on and so forth. Similar to what I had done with the truck, if I double click, I can spin it around. I can look at it from up above to get a sense of the width of the gate. And then if I want to change, so this is going to incorporate a little bit of the guided selling capability up here on the top banner. If I want to change where that pedestrian gate is located, I can do that, move it over to the right or the left instead of the right. You can change where the post is placed, whether you want that to be center or right. And then you can change, the wing positioning as well. When we go into customize, I'm able to change the wing thickness. So again, if I want to look at this from up above, adjust that thickness. You guys are seeing that get updated in real time. If I slide that all the way down, it's going to get a little bit thinner. And then we can change the color of the gate here. So let's say I want this yellow orange. I'm honestly a sucker for a good burnt orange and then black type of combo. So let's change this from the basalt gray to the jet black. And then last but not least, do we want to include a house number? So it'll automatically kind of pull in 1, 2, 3. Let's change that to my actual house number, which don't come and find me after this demonstration, you guys. And I want it in gold. So you're able to see how that looks right here. Again, if you wanted to build in the capabilities to make this larger, use different fonts, so on and so forth, that's all configurable on the back end as well. And then let's say I want to add in some lighting. I like the silver. If you look at the black, you're not able to see it. So if you want a little bit more of a discreet feel, you can do it that way. And then there's also the ability in real time to switch over to this list view. So it's going to give you the specs in terms of everything that's included with this configuration. If I go back to the visual view, it's going to look this way. And then there's also, of course, the bill of materials that's being generated in real time as we're building this out as well. So these 3D visualization capabilities, again, are really great for anybody that's, in building materials, in retail. We have a lot of customers that are in industrial manufacturing and use this to create, custom assembly lines. and they can lead with the visual CPQ, but again, also having those rules built into the back end saying, hey, you actually can't build this curve based on, the dimensions of the space that you guys are working with. So build in, again, the same type of rules and logic that you use with the base configurator. This is not a necessity. You don't have to purchase this with every CPQ instance. We do, again, have a lot of customers that are in services. Services customers are never going to need 3D, but it is really nice and opens up doors too for salespeople to be able to hop on a call with a customer and kind of walk them through the selling process in real time. So there's no ambiguity or misconception in terms of what the customer wants and what they're about to purchase, because that's all lined out with the 3D visualization capability. So I'm going to get out of this. Yes. How are we doing on time? We have a couple of minutes left. So I can walk through one other example with document automation really quickly, because just want to show off some of our AI capabilities. So if I wanted to do this truck quote and I wanted to do it with a link, one, we're able to get that visibility into when somebody opens up the quote. So you as the partner, you can take that information, you can build out different workflows using Power Apps to say, hey, if they've opened the quote and it's been X amount of days, send them this email. You could do it the same way where if they haven't opened up the quote, maybe you'll send an email from a different alias following up and saying, where are we at with this? Are there any questions? So on and so forth. But let's say that I want to send this over to the customer. I want to send the quote link email only. I don't want to modify the generated document in terms of the cover letter. But one thing that's new and is part of our AI capabilities is going to be the ability to translate the document. So if you have customers that sell, to multiple regions across the globe, need to accommodate different languages, you could go ahead, you could select, any of the languages that Microsoft supports today. So again, really great for global customers, the add-on for document automation, and it has those same different permission sets down here at the bottom, or next steps as a part of the flow down here at the bottom, whether it wants to be stored in SharePoint, passport word protected, or just saved back into CE. So just wanted to give you guys a quick glimpse into what that looked like. I won't bore you with another output of what that looks like in my inbox or what the quote looks like. But that is pretty much it. So covered some good ground, again, in terms of CPQ portal for dealers, talked about document automation capability. And again, that was really just looking at document automation as the queue within CPQ. But you could use that same banner, on an account level or on a lead level. Let's say somebody comes into through our website and we wanted to host certain templates on the lead record. You could host a template where it's like, hey, thanks for your interest in, our solutions. Here's a link to my calendar. Let's go ahead and book some time. So the use cases for document automation span way outside of just CPQ. Again, I talked about invoicing. I talked about HR. So there's a lot of horizontal growth capabilities within a certain organization as it relates to document automation. And then last but not least, we touched on 3D. Again, that's going to be a little bit more of a narrow audience. It's going to obviously require that they have a physical good that they're purchasing. One question that we get asked a lot when it comes to 3D capabilities is this our own IP? Is this our own product? We've actually partnered with somebody who's kind of the best of breed when it comes to 3D visualization. The company's name is Dynamaker. So the 3D, again, it's an add-on. And it is done through a third party that we're bringing into Experlogix. I tried to get ahead of some of the more commonly asked questions, but if there's any other questions that you guys have for me, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll hang on for a few minutes longer. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.